Hello, my name is Shellie Ziegler, and I'm a library consultant here at the Mississippi Library Commission. And I will be talking today about the basics of Reader's Advisory. And I always do like to start this presentation with a definition because a lot of people do have different conceptions of what Reader's Advisory is. And this is kind of my own, I put together with my own thoughts as well as some things I've learned from other people and other readings. But basically, Reader's Advisory is a service that involves suggesting fiction or nonfiction to patrons through direct or indirect means. And the goal is basically to connect readers with books. It's that simple. So where can Reader's Advisory services happen? Well, they can happen just about anywhere. The service can occur in person. A lot of times it does, but it doesn't have to. It can occur over the phone. It can occur in email. It can occur in a chat reference through text. A lot of times it happens through social media. It can occur on a form base. And we actually here at MLC, we have a form-based RA service, and it's called Book Match. And I'm going to show that to you here in a second. But Book Match is actually, it's open to anyone in the state. And we encourage anyone to use it. And I recently was asked if other libraries can share that with their patrons. And yes, you can. You can put it on your social media. You can put it on your website. The things we do here at the Library Commission, we do for the people for the state of Mississippi. So anyway, so let me show you that. Okay, so here is our Book Match form, and I should probably show you first how you get to this. So let me just take you to our websites here. Okay, so here is our website, which is mlc.lib.ms.us. And if you go down here to MLC services, you'll go all the way down here to Book Match. And then here's the form. It is a simple Google form, and you can put in as much or as little information as you want. Note, the more information you put in, the better. And the more likelihood you'll get better Reader's Advisory services. So one thing we ask is, are you looking for children's books, a YA book, or an adult book? Now, you can tell us more than one. And there is the last question, you can tell us anything you want. So if you want to put an adult book here, but at the bottom you can say, but I'm also looking for a YA book as well. You can put that in there too. So here you can say fiction or nonfiction. But again, if you're looking for both, you can say that too. And then we'd also like to know about your literary likes. Like what are some books that you generally do like? Maybe your favorite book, your favorite genre, your favorite authors. But note that you are not locked into those, okay? And believe it or not, it is good to know what kind of hobbies or things you like to do in your free time. If you don't have any, that's okay. If you like to play pickleball, we like to know that too, because it can come into play when it comes to recommending or suggesting books for you. But just because you like a certain kind of book or a certain author, that doesn't mean that's what you want to read. You might be in the mood for something else. Just because you like to read fantasy set in I don't read fantasy, like urban fantasy set in I don't know. You might be in the mood for a cozy mystery because it's fall. So tell us something like that. Um, and here's the most interesting thing. We like to save you money. So you can choose here. You can tell us what library system you belong to. Now, you don't have to. Again, tell us as little as you want or as much as you want. You know, keep all your secrets. But you tell us more, we can give you more information and we'll be better able to give you the best reader's advisory advice. But if you tell us your library system, we're going to try to recommend books that your library has. Now you do need to give us your email address. Why? Because we can't give you information without being able to contact you. And tell us anything else that would help us. Do you have a hamster? Do you like to ride your bike on the weekend with your dog? I don't know, things like that. And then submit it. I have done this a couple of times and I found it very, very informative. No, this is done by humans. It's not done by a robot. It's not done by AI. Real people look at this. Your information is kept confidential. We're not going to share. We're not going to laugh about it. So please use this. We really like to do it. I don't do it. I say we. It's done by our information services department. Right. Now we are back. All right, so let's talk a little bit about direct readers advisory because there is direct and there is indirect. Direct is the one that people think about the most, I believe. Direct Readers Advisory Service is the process of a librarian. I say librarian, I'm just talking about someone who works in the library. I'm not talking about someone who who has a master's in library and information science. I just mean someone who's working in the library. It's a process of a librarian suggesting books based on a reader's interest and taste. And this service is a one-to-one interaction between a librarian and the patron. This is a face-to-face interaction which can occur at any service point in the library. What am I talking about, a service point? I'm talking anywhere in the library where someone can get help, whether that be when they walk in the door. Is there someone there they can ask? Is it at the circulation desk? Is it at the reference desk? It can be in the shelves, when they're walking around, there's probably staff walking around. Anywhere that someone in the library can get assistance. So this direct assistance involves what used to be called, and it's just to be very formal, to be called a reader's advisory interview. And this was back in the day when libraries had a goal of trying to uplift and improve what people read, we had very lofty goals back then, trying to help people read, very highbrow literature. Now we just want people to read, and we want them to read what they want to read. So, and we want to help them find what they want to read. So we don't call it we don't call it readers advisory interviews anymore. We call them readers advisory conversations now. However, readers advisory conversations are just as important as a reference interview, but they do tend to be a bit informal. Why? Because you tend to be asking some more intimate questions about people. They're sharing with you some likes and dislikes, and sometimes it can get it can get personal. So with that, just be aware of that. So the point of a conversation is, it is just that, a conversation, but conversation goes both ways, and you're trying to get the patron to talk. You're trying to get them to open up. So some conversation openers. Tell me about a book you read that you enjoyed. And hopefully they won't just say, well, I liked it a lot. I thought it was funny. Tell me about the characters of the last book you enjoyed. Tell me about this one. This one I think brings out more information that's helpful. Tell me about a book you disliked. What are some aspects you didn't like about it? And what are you in the mood for? You might have a patron who really likes those Louise Penny Inspector Gamache books, but maybe they've read them all up until this point. Maybe they're in the mood for something different. I mean, that gets kind of old. So that's a good question. Here are some conversation tips. And as I've said before, think about it as more than a transaction. A reference transaction has its own guidelines. A reference conversation is more than a transaction. You are trying to elicit information from someone, and that does involve a little bit personal behavior that you would not use in a reference transaction. You're not a robot. You may act like a robot, but try not to act like it when you're doing a reference or a reader's advisory conversation. I'm sorry, I keep getting those confused. They sound a lot alike. Also, never assume reading taste or preferences. Just because someone comes in looking a certain way, try not to categorize people as, well, that person looks like a cozy mystery reader, or that person, they're definitely a thriller reader. You may be greatly surprised. And I don't think any of us want others to assume that we like certain types of books as well. Also, don't use library jargon with patrons. We don't like it if we go to a store or a business that we don't work at. Like, I don't like it if I go to Home Depot and I'm looking for some type of wrench or something, and someone starts using some type of lingo. I don't know much about wrenches, and I don't know what they're talking about. I'm already kind of uncomfortable, but then that just makes me feel even stupider. And it makes me feel like the person's trying to make me feel stupid. So put yourself in the person's shoes. One good question to ask, if you're having a hard time getting a person to share, is there anything you want to change about your reading habits? Because they may have never been asked that, and they may really appreciate that, and it may get them thinking. So I like that one. All right, we're going to talk about appeal factors, because the whole reason you're asking all these things are to get to this. This is like the whole center of the ball, the appeal factors. Hopefully, these conversations will elicit the information you need to get to appeal factors. Now, the person doesn't know they're giving you appeal factor information, but that's what we're looking for. Appeal factors. Appeal factors help readers decide whether a book will fit their mood or style. Their moods and styles change. all the time. Most people. I know mine does. Okay, so here are the 6 main appeal factors. And we're going to go through them. And you may have heard of all of these, but so the one that affects me the most is pace, and that is the speed at which the book, the plot moves through the story, and the rate at which the story unfolds. Fast-paced books have they usually have a lot of dialogue, but they have short chapters and paragraphs. They might have multiple points of view and changing scenery, but it moves quickly. A lot people, sometimes people like faster paced books, sometimes people hate it. Leisurely paced books typically have longer chapters, longer paragraphs, and prolonged scenes. And they also have lots of dialogue, but maybe a lot can happen, but it doesn't seem like it, at least to me. But to people that like it, it does. Some authors that I think are quick-paced authors that tend to write quick-paced books, they're known for it, are like Stuart Woods, Lee Child, John Sanford. And thrillers are known for being quick-paced. They kind of have to be to keep the reader engaged. Other writers who are known for their leisurely paced books are Louise Penny, Jane Smiley, who I really like her a lot, and Emily St. John Mandel. I like her a lot too. But like I said, everybody likes what they like. So then you also have a storyline. So a storyline is an easy way to describe a book's focus and structure. Think of it as a type of a way to describe kind of the whole package of a book, the story's focus, the subject, the theme, all together. That's how I like to think of it. It doesn't refer to the plot necessarily, but it would think of it like, here's some examples of a storyline. Sweeping, like a sweeping novel, open-ended, action-packed. Okay, here's one that's a big one. A big one. This is huge. This is the one that really people can't get past. They have strong feelings about this one. Tone. I call it vibe. It's the tone. The feeling that a book evokes in the reader. And then I say it's the vibe of the book. More than any other element, appeal element, tone is highly affected by the mood of the reader. Readers tend to be least willing to work around this. Many readers can overcome a slow-paced book if it has a storyline in which they are fascinated. But if a reader is in the mood for a dark, scary mystery, if you offer them a cozy romance, it is never going to work. If they're looking for a certain vibe, a certain tone, that is what they must have. You cannot offer them anything else. They will not get past it. So some examples of tone are bleak, creepy, feel good, hopeful, moody. People in this category, they want what they want and do not give them anything else. Character, the types and numbers of characters and how the reader interacts with them. That's basically what it is. It's also like who the person, I always say, who the person is, who the character is, like what traits they have, like even down to like what religion they are, like everything about them, and how they come out in the book. Like, are they described quickly, or does it take a long time to get to know them? Do they develop over the course of the story, or are they just developed very quickly and not very well. Some people really like to know the whole backstory of a character and why they do what they do. Some people are just like, just tell me his name and then what he does, and that's enough. Some people like a whole large cast of characters that they have to keep a chart of. They like a family tree. I don't like that, but some people do. Anyway, so that's characters. Illustrations. This only pertains to picture books and graphic novels. And some examples of this are, there's a whole lot of them, is like black and white, you have bold, you have folk art, you have realistic, there's a lot more. And then writing style. This is basically how a book is written, from very complex language to the level of detail in the background. I like to talk about Stephen King in this instance because he, to my knowledge, is one of the most descriptive authors that I have read. And I hate that much description. I hate it. But I really like his writing. So I get past it. I don't read all his stuff because I can't take too much of it. But sometimes, if I really want to read something of his, I will get past it. I do skip and skim a lot because I'm like, okay, Stephen, it's just a tree. Let's not take 2 pages to describe it. But his diehard fans who love those descriptions, they really get into it. But I'm like, I just like the story. So I'm like, just give me the story. I don't need 2 pages about a tree. But so that's kind of an example. So when I'm talking, let me give you some examples of writing styles. Descriptive, like I just told you for half an hour. Lush. So lush is where this is one I really like to talk about. Lush is descriptive language where it evokes all the senses. So it, like, all of your senses are heightened. Like you can smell it. It's described so well. You can smell it, you can feel it, you can hear it. So maybe Stephen King's like that. I don't know because I don't pay attention to his descriptions too much. I do like gritty writing. So that would be like, I love Larry Brown and Michael Ferris Smith. Like that's some real gritty writing. A lot of people don't like it. They find that depressing, but I think it's fantastic. Banter filled. That's when the characters, like, it's like they just pop off each other. Like they just like I have a friend here at work and we kind of have a banter relationship and we're just like bam, blah, bam, 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 bam. And some people think we're arguing, but we're not. That's just our relationship. It's good. I just like that. So, okay. And here I just went into a little more detail. There's many more than this. And I can show you an example when we get to NoveList. But so pace is fast, intensifying is where it starts slow and it builds and builds and builds and builds. Thrillers and suspense novels do this. I really like that. Storylines, I think I said all that. Character, like I really like when you know a lot about a character, like you know a lot about like them personally, like I don't know, that they have like psoriasis or something, or if they're disabled for some reason. Like I don't know, you call it flawed, but I just call it being real because we all have physical problems, like chronic illnesses and things like that. And to me, that's not being flawed. That's just being human. Like, so I don't like to call that flawed. Anyway, so here are some more examples. Oh, right. Now we're into, I set you up for the NoveList, and here we are. So the NoveList database, it's an EBSCOhost database, and it is all about Reader's Advisory. That is it. And it is ran by librarians, and librarians work for it. I mean, they create the content. It is also part, you're very lucky because it's part of the Magnolia databases. So it costs thousands of dollars. So it is free to you, but not because it's free. It's because it is provided for you through Magnolia. So, fun fact, there is something called NoveList Plus, and if you have an MLC library card, you can have access to NoveList Plus. NoveList Plus has audiobooks and nonfiction. NoveList just has fiction. NoveList is great. Regular NoveList is amazing. You'll never get tired of it. You're not missing out on anything. I'm just telling you, if you wanted to get an MLC library card, you can. You have to come here to our building to get one. And if you work in, you have to have a card at the library that your local public library before you can get a card here. That's just our requirement. But it's a good reason to get a card because there's also other databases that we provide here at MLC if you have a card with us. So I just wanted to pitch that. So today, there's also NoveList K-8, kindergarten through 8. And it is for schools. Today, I will only be talking about regular NoveList because that's the NoveList that is available. That's a NoveList that's on Magnolia, and that's the NoveList that your patrons use. Now your patrons can get a card here and have access to NoveList Plus too. But for the most part, most people just use regular NoveList. So that's the one I'm going to give my demo on. So if you have any questions about NoveList Plus or getting a MLC card, at the end of the presentation is my phone number and my email, so you can contact me. Okay, so let me find it. Please have a hard time finding it still. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the MLC because I want to show you how to get to it. So I always go through our website, just because I work here and that's how I go through everything. Okay, so here, this is our main web page, and you're going to go over here to quick links, and you're going to go to Magnolia. Makes sense, right? Okay. And it says, welcome to Magnolia. And you're going to go search databases. Okay. And you could scroll all the way down to NoveList, A through Z, but I'm going to type NoveList. Okay. And you also got NoveList K through 8. You won't see NoveList Plus because it's not a Magnolia. It's in another location. And you get a card, we'll show you where that is. Secret site. No, it's not. Okay, here it is, and it is gorgeous. I do say so myself. I love it. Feel like I'm on here a lot. I do use it a lot for personal reasons. I'm always looking up books and stuff. Okay, so there's lots of stuff I'm going to show you. There's also lots of stuff I'm not going to show you because I don't have 8 hours to show you this database, and I don't think you want me to show you stuff on here for 8 hours. You probably won't watch it. The best way to know and get to know a database is to look up stuff that is interesting to you and do that on your own time. So I'm going to show you, because this is called Basics of Reader's Advisory. I'm going to show you things that I think will help you in your job at a public library. And then I encourage you to spend time on NoveList looking up things for yourself. First thing I want to show you is on the left here, recommended reads list. You'll see here it says adult, teen, the ages 9 through 12, and ages 8 through 8, 0 through 8. Okay, one of my most favorite things here is for fans of, because it changes all the time depending on pop culture. So I know I'm gonna keep it on adult for right now, but the big thing right now is Colleen Hoover. And I mean, I've known about Colleen Hoover forever, and I don't know how she became so famous, but I was listening to this podcast where someone interviewed her, and the way she became famous is so, well, I know how it's going. I mean, she was just a regular nobody, and like she was just writing just to write, and I think she was a hairdresser. She lived in a trailer, and they couldn't like make their mortgage payments and stuff. And like someone sent in her manuscript and she didn't even know it. And I think, I don't know, I don't think I'm making this up. Anyway, her rise to fame was not normal. Like most writers, you know, they turn their stuff in and they wait and wait. Hers was like overnight. And she didn't even want to be famous. Like she was just writing just because. It was such an interesting interview. Okay, so this for fans of, it'll be like movies and TV shows and like I said, pop culture, and it changes all the time, and it changes based on the age group here. So you're not going to see for fans of Colleen Hoover over here on ages 9 through 12, because that's not appropriate. You know, so if you wanted to, so use NoveList for more than just Reader's Advisory. It is good for creating displays, and it is good for collection development. And I'll show you. So if you wanted to make a Colleen Hoover display, because all your Colleen Hoovers are always checked out, am I right? So you click there on for fans of Colleen Hoover. You're going to get a little bit about Colleen Hoover. You know, she writes heart-wrenching, steamy. They're usually steamy. I've only read one, but it was not steamy. It was psychological. Here are some books that are similar in appeal factors. And so you might want to create a display, you know? So that is a way NoveList is helpful in creating a display. Is that not neat? I think it's so neat, but I'm a little crazy for NoveList. Okay, and you've got other things here. One other thing, I mean, I'm not going to show you all of it because I would like to, but I'm not. Let's say you get a little kid, like 10 years old, comes in and he's like, or no, I'm going to say it's a she. She comes in and she's like, she wants to find a graphic novel or a manga book. And you're like, oh, you're nervous because you're like, in this climate, you're like, oh, I don't want to give her something like too graphic. Oh, what to do? So maybe you look, so you got it on ages 9 to 12, and you could look up beginner manga. maybe that'll, and then you're going to go, okay, let me tell you about these popularity stars. Took me a while. I had to do some research to figure it out. It's based on the popularity of sales from libraries to Baker and Taylor. So I don't know if that's important to you, but so basically, Lil Leo here is not purchased a lot from Baker and Taylor. Now, the only thing that I'm suspicious about, and maybe it's just because I don't know enough, is I don't know where NoveList is getting their data. Like what libraries? Like libraries across the whole country, just libraries that subscribe to NoveList. I'm not sure, but that is what I read. So use it at your own peril. Okay, so these are beginner manga, and you can see that I can't say that word. Koda Mamuke is literally translated as intended for children. Okay, so you might feel comfortable about recommending these to this young girl. You're like, oh, what about this fluffy cinema roll? Marole? You might like to, this might be okay for her, and her mom might not come in and yell at you, you know. Okay, and we'll show you something else that's neat. So let's say maybe her mom is with her and they're not ready to check out any books today, but they're just gathering information. So you're like, okay, mom, I'm going to email you some titles, and then you can go home and you can look at them. Because I don't want to waste paper, I want to save some trees. So you can, I'll add that to a folder. And see a little folder there. And then you can go back and I thought I went back. Okay. And see the little folders here? Okay, I'm gonna do this mermaid book for you. And you would have done your due diligence and read about them. I'm just being Yuzu in the pet vet. That sounds good. Let's put little Leo in there because he looks sweet. And then we're going to go up here to folder. And you say, okay, mom, you could print them. You could save them if you have an EBSCO account, which is actually free to create. And then you could just, if you wanted to save things for patrons, you could do that, or for yourself. You can say, all right, mom, it's going to say support from EBSCO. So, what's your address? And then you would send it to her, and you are a book wizard. And she'd be like, really? And you're like, yep, I already sent them to you. You'd be like, okay, next. No, you would say, is there anything else I can help you with? And there you go. The one thing I like about NoveList is if you're lost, you click home and you're right back where you started. So now you're back here. Okay, what else I want to talk to you about? There's so much. So that's all this stuff on the sides. No, that's just home. Okay, browse by. Appeal factors. So I talked earlier about appeal factors. These are always going to show you current books based on, and they're going to put them in different appeals. So, and you can make your own appeal mixer. So if someone, after you've done the conversation, and see, you've got the ages up here. So let's say you talk to a teen, and after talking to them, I'm just making this up, they are looking for an Asian character or let's say they just really like Asian characters, fast paced, and let's say the tone. Remember, the tone's the vibe, and that's super important. You can't get around that. And they're like, oh, I'm just like real melancholy vibe. And you're like, okay, well, let's see what I can find for you. Let's hope it finds something. Oh, nothing was found. That happens. If you get real specific, sometimes it doesn't. Let's take away that fast pace one, and let's see if maybe, okay, it found two books there. That's not a whole lot, but something. So you can do that with your own appeal mixer, and they'll change this up and do their own mixers here. But then notice this. This is something that frustrates me, but when you click to another age group, it's going to clear the screen. So you got to start all over again. So just remember that. Okay. Okay. When I was working in public libraries, I remember little kids coming in. I don't know if it was a certain time of year, but they would be like, I have to read a Newbery book and I don't care what it is. Now, we had a binder with all the Newbery titles in it. But if you don't keep a binder, that's okay. You can come to NoveList because they first tell you what the Newbery Award is for, who it's geared towards. They have it all the way back to the beginning, and they'll give you the winner, and they'll give you the honor list as well. So there you go. So you can help little Judy get her Newbery book. I find that amazing. But not only are you going to be able to find the Newbery books, like look at all these other awards. Like I didn't even know all these existed. Well, I knew a lot of them existed, but I find a lot of them fascinating, especially for the adults. Like I vote for the library reads, and I didn't know they put the library reads favorites on here. I think that might be a new thing. I could be wrong. Quick links are cool because they have library or book club resources on here. Okay, and genre guides. So let's say you do a lot of reader's advisory, or you want to, or you wanted to start doing more displays, and but you don't know a lot about certain genres. You can go through the genre guides and like, okay, I always use cozy mysteries because I don't read them and I don't like them, but I know a lot of people do, and that's fine. In fact, I'm glad that there are things for everybody. I wouldn't want to live in a world where everything was just for me. That would be an ugly, horrible place. So this will tell you, and it tells you who wrote the article. I love that. You see a little picture of her? That's great. What are cozy mysteries? What happens? What are the top themes? Why do people like them? And then here are some key titles and series. Here are some key authors to know. So this way, if you know nothing about them, you just read this little article and now you know a lot. And you could create a little reader's advisor little binder if you're, or I like to organize stuff. And then when someone comes up and they ask for some reader's advisory help, you could say, do you like cozy mysteries? Let me see if I can help you. And you've got, I mean, I just think this is just, the work is all done for you. How can you, I mean, how can you hate that? Space opera for adults. I don't even know what space opera is, other than Star Wars was kind of a space opera, I think. Maybe not after looking at these. Anyway, okay, I gotta move on. Um, I could spend all day here. Okay, back to some serious stuff. Okay, if you get confused after my training and you're like, well, she didn't tell me this, she didn't tell me that, that's fine. I can't tell you everything. How do I? This is They've got a YouTube page and you can go there and watch all kinds of videos. You can find out how to do complex things. There you go. Okay. An important thing to know. Okay. If you want to, okay, someone comes in and they are like, oh, listen, I love Nora Roberts. I've been reading one of her series and I don't know which one to read next. Okay, I know a lot of people will go to, there's a lot of free series sites, and that's fine. You can, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But you can also come here and put in Nora Roberts search, because you'll also find out additional information that you can tell the person. And some of those free sites don't have that. Okay, so Nora Roberts tells you a little bit about what she writes, what her books are generally like, that they change. They're so different. Read alikes. So maybe like if you can tell them, if you also like her, you might want to read some of these other people. So there's author read alikes and there's also title read alikes. I need to show you that. So, so you go, okay, well, let's see what series you're reading. So you click on series and they say, well, I've been reading that, that wedding series. You're like, what? You're like, oh, this bride quartet series. I'm like, yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, super. And then I would sort it and put the newest at the top. That's just me. And then you'll see that there's numbers next to them. Okay, and they've read the first two. So then their next one would be savor the moment. Okay, so savor the moment. So that you tell them that. This tells you a little bit about the book, the genre, storyline, tone. Okay, so popularity. This has been ordered a lot by Baker and Taylor. Now you'll also see this Goodreads, these stars. That's how popular it is on Goodreads as far as the people who have rated it on Goodreads. Now you can click on that, the reviews. Now this will take you out of NoveList into Goodreads and you can read the Goodreads reviews. So that is up to you. Now, something else. If you are looking to purchase items for your collection, NoveList has professional library book reviews, and you'll see those here. I know a lot of people get their book reviews from Amazon. That's fine, but you can also get them here. Okay, so this is a read alike for the title right here. So you can also tell the person, well, if you really like this book, or you think you're going to like it, you might like these. Now, if you want to get read alikes for the author, you click on the author here. It takes a second. Okay, and for some reason, whenever I do an author read alike, the pictures don't come up. I don't know. Maybe they don't have pictures. I don't know. Anyway, so these are author read alikes for Nora Roberts. So that's something good to know. Okay, okay, I'm winding down here on my NoveList. Another good thing to know is if you're doing collection development, and this is the only advanced search thing I'm going to show you. There's a lot, but and that's just a field code, and I'm not even going to go into that with you, not in this basic. So if you are wanting to purchase things that have not come out yet, but let's say you want to genre. You are looking to buy some mysteries that have not come out yet. You see this forthcoming button? You're going to put mystery genre, search. Aha, look at that. Now, this is all mystery for all ages, and I believe it's just for the next 3 months, though. I think that's now, if you want to limit it to just adults, you can do that. Well, let's see. Let's limit it to just teens and see what we get there. Okay, then you just get 9. And you'll know the popularity is really low because the Baker and Taylor orders have probably not been great. So that's something good for collection development. Okay, I'm going to show you just one more thing, and then we're going to get out of here, out of the NoveList. I honest to God use this feature. I used it once when I was at a public library. I think I was working in Oklahoma at the time, and it did work. It took me a long time because I had to use all these different keywords. This woman was looking for a book and she didn't know the name of it, and she didn't know the color. It wasn't like it was a blue book, but she knew something about the book. And so I kept trying to describe it and stuff, and I eventually figured it out. But then there's a book I was looking for when I was a kid. Well, a book that I liked when I was a kid, and I wanted to buy it as an adult. So I used this describe a book feature. You just keep it on keyword. And I couldn't remember the name of the book. So I think it took a couple of times, but I looked for it, and it was, let's see, Jewish Family. And it was my favorite series when I was little. Well, I wasn't that little. I was like 11 in New York. I think this should do it. We'll see. I think a lot of other books came up, so you have to look through it. And let's see. Here it is. So that's not the book, but it is in a series, and it's called the All of a Kind Family. And I found it, and I bought the whole series, and I found it because of NoveList. And I was so happy. So NoveList has so many excellent features, and I haven't even showed you all of it, like not even close. It's amazing. So, okay, so please play around with it and do your own deep diving on things you love, because that's how you get to understand databases the best. Okay. Another way, and I promise we're almost wrapping up. Another way to get to know your collection and to get to become a better reader's advisor is to do something. I learned this, I'm taking an online reader's advisor class right now, is to, but I'd heard of it a long time ago, is to do something that's called reading a book in 10 minutes. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this, but I have a link to it here at the bottom of the slide. But do not do this with a book you intend on reading for pleasure, but it's just a good way to get to know books in your collection, and it'll help you recommend and suggest books to people. But you start with the cover, and you just look at the cover and you see, does the cover tell you anything? Is the author's name larger than the title? It tells you that the author is a bigger, like, that they're more important than the title itself, like they've published, before. Are there any blurbs on the jacket or the back cover that tell you anything? Is there a plot summary somewhere? What's it say? Is there an author bio somewhere in the back? Usually, and then open it up. And I forgot to put this on here, but well, first read like the font. Is there more than one font used? Is it big? Is it small? Are there illustrations? Read a sample. And this is where I forgot to put it. Read the first sentence or the first paragraph if you can, and the last paragraph. See, this is why you don't want to do this with a book that you are going to read. And then are there any appeal factors that stand out? Because sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. And then this might help you determine what genre this fits in and what kind of reader might enjoy this book. And then if it ever comes up and you see it maybe on a display or facing forward on your shelves, then this might help you suggest this book to someone. So it's just a good way to become a better advisor. So I've got a few examples. Now, of course, you're not here, so we can't look at the books, but you can look at the covers and see. So I've got The Manor House by Julie McMillan, and you can tell a lot by that cover. Well, the title's bigger, but the author's name is at the very top. So if you didn't know who Julie is, and it does say that she is an author of another book, you know that she's probably a big name, and she's written another book. And there is a subtitle, Be Careful What You Wish For. So this book is probably suspense. And there is a little quip at the bottom, which is kind of hard to read, but it says storytelling at its best. And it's by an author that is very well known. So you kind of know a lot about this book just by the cover. And then this next one is, I know nothing about this book, but just from looking at it, the author is at the very bottom. I've never heard of them, but this book looks completely sci-fi to me. Like just what the person's wearing. They look like they have wings and a shield of some sort. There's stars in the background. I don't know anything about it, but I know it's sci-fi. It could be a YA book. I don't know. Could not be. But I don't know. It just tells you can know a lot just by looking at a cover of a book, judging a book by its cover. Okay, this one is good. So West Heart Kill. I feel like this is a very unconventional book, like maybe has unconventional format, because there is a gun here where there might be a chimney. And I don't know, it's kind of placed kind of a cool way. It kind of looks like a modern mystery, and it's placed on top of a book. So maybe it's a book within a book. I don't know. Maybe it's just a different narrative. I don't know. I just think it's going to be very unconventional. Okay, and this one's pretty obvious to me, but the author has written something else. And this one, though, I don't think the author's written anything else. It's got those cartoon characters that are on all those rom-com books. I don't know why they do that, but live, love, and get off my lawn. So they're gonna be enemies in the beginning who then fall in love, or maybe they just become friends, because sometimes that happens. A lot of people like those books. Okay, so we've talked about Direct. We've looked at NoveList. Indirect reader's advisory. The focus is on discovery by the reader through curated opportunities to encounter titles and authors through list displays and other browsing ideas. That is a very fancy way to say that it is not a face-to-face interaction. So displays are the best way. I mean, not the best way, but it's probably the most common way. And I go to a lot of libraries here in the state, and I am always surprised by the creativity of the people that work in libraries. I do not have it, and I am just blown away. But displays are advisory services that inform patrons of titles in a general theme, genre, or subject. And a good way to circulate some of your back titles that maybe are getting lost back there and no one checks them out is to put them in a display, because people will check them out a lot because, well, one, they don't see them and then they see them, but sometimes you'll fool them and they'll think they're new books. So I don't know. It's a good thing. And then another way is podcasts, bookmarks, and social media. Like podcasts, especially nowadays, like they're often themes, you're talking about a certain theme, and the themes vary greatly. And then you can do a bookmark where you're like, oh, top 5 mysteries by such and such, or, you can even do one. This is one I think would be good. Be like top 10 books that our staff love. I think that'd be neat. And then of course, social media. You can do a lot readers advisory with your social media. I think that would be good. So yeah. And that is what I have for you all. If you have any questions about NoveList, Reader's Advisory, if you want to do something with it and you're not, excuse me, you're not sure how, let me know and I'd be happy to help get you started. If you want to bounce some ideas off me, that'd be great. Here is my email and my phone number. And thanks for listening to me today. Have a great day.